I said to one of my friends the other day when we were dealing with the conferencing, I said, you can't win without being extraordinary, you know. I mean, in everything that you do, if you want to be successful, you have to go to your bed later than everybody else. You have to work more efficient than everybody else. You have to spend more time learning the craft than everybody else, because to be fair with you, most people will be comfortable having a 9-to-5, having a nice 2-bedroom in NHD house, having a family and a wife and a pitney, and them go to school every morning and go to work. There are species of human beings who are not satisfied with that. They want to push the envelope. They want to do things. Like, my purpose in life is helping people.
Right.
That's what satisfies me when I go to bed at nights. That's what makes me feel good and sleep well at nights. Not many people are able to do that because it requires a lot of sacrifice and it doesn't come with thanks.
True.
Especially politicians. Yeah.
Yes, so
it's like you're expected to do it, which is, I mean, you're a public servant, as Triple X say, public servant. You guys aren't supposed to be paid public servants.
Yeah, but you know, there are a lot of views about that. I mean, at the end of the day, as a public servant, you have to go beyond the call for what you're doing. But at the same time, if you want good people to join the public service, you have to pay them properly. I would love to get the head of Digicel or the head of Lime or the head of Sagicor to come and work for the government. Because those people would have expertise that I may not have. They would have had experiences. They would have probably gone to schools and done courses that I never did. And I think if the country really wants to attract the best of the best, because the government is the biggest player on the market. So you want the best people, because think about it, the government impacts your life on a daily basis. Everything that you do, when you wake up in the morning to when you go to bed, the government is involved in it. Who do you want to be in charge of that? Do you want an undereducated, underperforming, inexperienced individual, or you want the elite of your society to be a part of government?
But the flip side is when because we had the same discussion with Triple X, so I'm just parroting what he's saying. He's saying that, well, you guys made the conscious decision to come in and to do this. Like, it's a sacrifice that you make. You're making the sacrifice to be a public servant.
So do doctors, so do lawyers, so do police, so do soldiers, so do you. I'm sure you want to make more money as the host of the Fix. You want more ads. Doctors want more money. Police want more money. And the reality of it is that the higher the salaries, the more competitive the market. So if you're paying people nothing, then you're going to get a large amount of people who will work for little or nothing. But the more you increase the compensation, then a guy who is earning $20 million, $30 million as the head of Proven, he may now contemplate and say, well, you know, Proven has done well for me now, but I see a similar position in the Ministry of Finance where I can bring my expertise not only to earn the same amount of money, but also to impact my country in a positive way. And I think if you want to discuss the thing, you have to discuss it more rationally. So like there's a lot of arguments about politician pay and councillor pay.
Yeah, there was a couple months ago.
But who do you want to work for you? Do you want your public servant? Let's just remove the politician out of it. Let's talk about the people.
The political aspect out of it.
Let's talk about the people who work in your office. The lady who make your coffee. Do you want the lady who is working, cleaning your office, making your coffee to earn minimum wage? Do you want her to not be able to send her children to good schools? Do you want her to be walking to work in the mornings because she cannot afford to pay our bus fare to come to work? And that's the question we have to ask ourselves.
I think the answer a lot of people would have to that is they don't really care. Them just want to know, say, the people them are do them job that is serving who they're
that's why
supposed to
leadership is important, because a majority of people don't care about the intricacies of particular things. And that is why you need people. For example, most people don't care what chemical you use in the hospital to clean the floor. But the type of chemical you use in the hospital to clean the floor can prevent the growth of Klebsiella, which can kill babies. So the general public has no concern.
They just want the floor clean.
They just want the floor clean. But you as a leader in your particular field have to understand the intricacies of a particular discipline in order to make sure that that discipline works as efficiently in order to give a general benefit to the most people possible.
I want to ask about, okay, we're still in this conversation, paying politicians as a deterrent of
Corruption and theft.
yes.
Yeah. Because you're saying, because that was the argument too. Like, you know, if you guys are paid well, you guys, then there'll be less chance or less likelihood of corrupt and, you know, people mishandling and misappropriating the money and the funds, the national funds, because you guys are paid properly.
It's two sides to that coin, you know. I mean,
I think so.
if
too.
somebody's a thief, them is a thief.
True. You can get no matter amount
You know,
money.
I mean, I know people who just reading the papers who are millionaires who still rob. But what you have to do, which what we
Probably
have
that's
tried-
how they became millionaires.
So like the mix
Yeah,
up,
hold it.
the mix up side of the interview start.
Don't do that.
Yeah, but fun and joke aside though, like if you have to have both sides. So for example, if I am paying somebody a good salary, I need to also put in a level of accountability. So for example, I don't spend money as a politician. Government does not give me cash, right? There is the CDF, there is other programs that I have to go through agencies with. But I also have a very strong accountability mechanism like the Integrity Commission, where I have to get accountant and lawyer every year to file my report. If I buy a car, I have to report it. If somebody send money to my account, I have to report it. You understand? So while the politician has influence over significant amount of resources, people don't understand that the politician also has a higher level of accountability that he has to be a part of.
Not answer for him.
If you notice, the other day, politicians have been resigning because of things that they may not even 10 years ago contemplated. They make a mistake on a farm and never reported something, and they have to resign because that is the level of accountability that is now in the system. If you forget to put something on a farm, you don't have to resign from the fix.
No.
But with
'Cause I'm in
great,
She will have to.
charge.
No, she'll have to.
but with great responsibility, with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
And you as a politician in Jamaica in 2013, if you make a mistake and do the wrong thing, you will not survive.
Yeah.
What do you say to the people that, going back to the hoopla that was caused several months ago about the pay hike of politicians, the people in that say politicians are already well paid or they already are rich from other things, why are they now raising their pay? Because there seems to be a general conversation or a gripe with the whole politicians raising their pay.
They're like, oh, give
argument.
it to the doctors.
Let
and
me
nurses.
make three,
Which is civil servants were already paid.
let me make
Yeah.
3 points on that. The first point is that most politicians are not rich. People may not believe me when I say it, but I have seen so many circumstances where retired politicians have to ask for help because they have simple medical procedures that they have to do. I've seen so many situations where politicians die and they leave the families with nothing because they give everything to the society. My salary as a politician, my majority of it doesn't go to my family or me. Because, let me give you a simple example. I go into my constituency on Thursdays. Somebody comes to me and says, listen, someone gonna have a prescription. If I don't get my insulin tomorrow, I'm gonna go dead. What are you gonna do? So, it is very emotionally easy.
I was going to say seek help.
It's emotionally easy to condemn the leaders. It's easy because even you have a problem in your life, you drive on a patrol, bust your tire. First person you can
Andrew Wellness.
Bust your tire.
Yes.
You understand?
Fix the
So it's-
road.
the second point is, remind me of the question again.
About, the argument about politicians raising their pay. When
The second
the
point
perception is that politicians are already rich.
So we
through
can
other means.
establish it that majority of the people who are in politics are not wealthy. Right? I never grew up in wealth. I come from a very humble rural community. I used to ride donkey, go a bush, go collect banana, and I used to sell in the Maypen market. It's not something
Real
that
country boy.
I am not trying to use poverty as an excuse for anything. I'm just giving them a background. A majority of the people I sit with in parliament are not wealthy. Some of them have money because they probably come from a wealthy family, or their father, or their mother,
or they started out before they came into political life.
Some of
they
them
had
businesses before, but a majority of the politicians I know are not wealthy. A majority of the young politicians who came in 2020. I mean, Rhoda Mother was a teacher. Kerencia was a teacher. Teacher never rich. You know, and there are many others that I could call their names who are not wealthy. But the bigger point that you have to ask yourself is, what kind of people do you want to lead you? Do you want people to lead you who are desperate, hungry all the time, always need money, always in a position of vulnerability? So a man can come to them and say, yo, brother, say you're under pressure and I'm going to give you $10 million so we can manage a thing. Every month you come to me, I give you a thing. And when he comes back to you in 6 months' time, I say, so me give you $30 million.
Because you're no longer answerable to the public. You're answering to the person who pays your bills.
So one of the things with Singapore, though, which is quite fascinating, is that they pay their politicians well, but you're not allowed to take any gifts whatsoever.
None.
You're not allowed to take what?
Any gifts.
They literally execute that money. I mean, at prison.
There's a guy in Singapore who was an MP.
Now we Singapore study.
Yes.
Funny enough.
He went on vacation. A businessman paid for his vacation. When he came back, he was fired. So like personally, I don't take gifts from people. I don't even drive a government vehicle. I don't own a government phone because I don't believe in that. I mean, I'm not condemning anybody who does because it's a part of what you're entitled to as a minister. But I make a personal decision not to use as little government resources as possible, because there's a certain level of accountability that I really don't think I need to be a part of. So driving a government vehicle, you have to report gas card and you have to report toll receipt, and so just buy a vehicle and buy a gas, put it in it and go and buy your business.
I have actually on a personal level, like them things I get exhausting more time. The level of accountability, and as you say, if a person dropping a pothole, them say your fault, probably not your constituency. On a broader scale, I say 100 fault, which there's a closeness. So you get exhausting more time.
It's two sides to the thing, I mean, I personally am a part of this thing because I had a vision in the beginning of helping my community. That's where it started. I mean, when I was a kid, I saw things happening in my community that I didn't appreciate. And I was one of the people in my community that people looked up to and say, this young man, country people always pick one or pick two. Them see one little one over there and say, that one day I gotta go farm, I could bill him.
Yeah.
So a lot of people invested in me in school, in high school, in the community. They protected me. They said, you need to grow up and become a leader. I never believed because I thought it was gimmicks. But then as I grew up and I became what I university and thing, I developed a level of interest in assisting my community. So to a great extent, a lot of the times people have certain perspectives is because of a lack of understanding how government works. So for example, let me give you a simple example. Majority of the problems that Jamaican citizens have is because of lack of information. You are trying to access a service because you don't know how to access the service, you get frustrated. And when you get frustrated, you get angry. When you get angry, you get disenchanted. And then you abandon the approach to assessing the service. And a man comes to you and say, yo, Ariane, give me 20 grand and I solve this for you. And that creates corruption.
In that case, who does the onus fall on in regards to, accessing or making the information accessible?
It falls on the government. And historically, governments have not done a good job of educating people. So government will come up with a big program and say, we're going to do X, Y, and Z for the people. But nobody comes to the people and say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not as bad as it used to be, but it's something that we have to work on. So for example, most people don't know you can get a passport in one day. Most people don't know that you don't need to go to passport office to renew a passport. So a man will leave Clarendon at 5 o'clock in the morning.
We figured it out a year ago,
Yeah, a man will leave Clarendon at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to Pika to stand up in the line and wait to renew his passport when he can get his nephew who know about internet to renew it online. Now imagine you stand up in the half for his son for 3 hours to renew a passport. That's frustration. That's money where you have to pay from Clarendon or St. Catherine to drive to Kingston. You understand what
And
I'm
a
saying?
waste
And
of time. You waste a whole
and it's
day.
a waste of time. And one of the things that we have been trying to do over the last couple of months, since I've been minister at least, is to give people the information to help them improve their lives. For example, did you know that if you are an NWC customer and you don't have water, the NWC is obligated to truck water to your house at the same rate that you get it in the pipe? Most people don't know that, you know.
No.
So if you have a water lock off, you can call NWC and say to them, listen, I have a meter. This is my meter number. This is my billing number. I don't have any water. I need some water. And if you have storage, they're obligated to truck the water to you.
They don't answer the phones. That's a challenge.
And that's something that we need to deal with. It is better now because them now have a call center. And I have a lot of people who call NWC and get trucked water. But I say that to say to you that a big part of the problem in our society is that services are available, but a lot of Jamaicans do not know how to access the services.
That's true.
How would we access that information though? Like, how would we know that?
And I think there's so much too. Like,
That's
there's so
the big
much
problem.
to know that you don't know.
Yeah.
For a very long time, government has been kind of behind a curtain. There's a kind of mysticism associated with government. Like I remember when I was growing up, when I see the MP, I drive through in big vehicle, everybody was like, oh my God, it's the MP. You know, like there's this kind of elevated aristocratic perspective about who the representative was. When in reality, it shouldn't be like that. The leader should be among the people, not above the people. So our society evolved out of slavery, evolved out of colonialism, where a lot of our people who were not necessarily as educated as they should have been, they were not necessarily as exposed. So when they see the big man coming out of the community who have a little more knowledge than you, have a little more money than you kind of more reserved towards that person and have a level of adoration. What we have to evolve to and where we're going, I think we're going there, is where people see leaders as servants, not as persons who dominate the system. And that is what will, I think, change the dynamic in politics, where more and more politicians and citizens understand their role as people who need service and the politician's role as a person who is a facilitator of service.
The wings to fly away, fly away. Wish me coulda trade it off. So much pain in me, yeah, me coulda trade it off. But the burden when me feel, me wish it could dissolve. I no regret, I know everything can get resolved.
Money man a grab dog, not free your bad dog. Hustle man a hustle every minute, pan the clock hard. Hustle while you a snap, boy can't style, he got car. You a waste, bad fraud, tell about one done. Him a bang hard, tip guard, the bleach, still package land.
Hey Gordon.